I'm going to go over 3 of the dot books that I've seen in my experience. One that works, and the other 2 do not work. We're going to start with the one that works. The Oxford Index Card Binder. These things are absolutely great. They hold 3x5 index cards. They have dual binder clips, which allows easy access to each of your dots. And then also you can open them up and add pages in with refills, so that way when we get the change and drill, you'll be good to go. Spiral bound dot books are no good. These things do not work well for drum corps. They start out day 1 very well, but then after we start making changes, the ink doesn't erase properly. You start writing over this, it's not going to be legible. We'll get to page 3 in the opener. We start getting on the road, decide we want to add 10 pages to an intro. Your page 3 now becomes page 13. You can't go through and add more pages to get 10 pages of drill on here. It's just not going to work. So you add it to the end. No big deal, right? I know that the intro is at the end of the book until we add a tag to the closer, or we add 5 pages to the ballad. Then you're going to have your page 7 stuck behind page 220 and somewhere in between page 350. Don't buy these things. Homemade dot books, I've never seen any good come from these. You're going to regret having this day 3 when it completely falls apart. My main argument for why to get a binder: when we get up in the Northwest and it's raining constantly, especially on the East Coast, likes to rain a lot there, your dot book's going to get wet. A wet dot book is no fun. This thing gets soaked, it becomes worthless. You can't set it out to dry out. Your pages start to blur together. Your ink starts to run off. This will happen. Then the pages start to fall out. You don't want to have a spiral bound dot book that gets wet. Index card binder, on the other hand, has a protective cover, so it stays relatively dry in the rain. Dry dot book, happy dot book. If anything does get wet, you might have a couple of pages. Replace them with your inserts. Buy the index card binder. A properly completed dot book is an invaluable tool that promotes a productive rehearsal environment. Before we get started, I want to point out that all of this information and more is written down in our field knowledge guide. The drum corps version for my drum corps students will be emailed to you or can be found on our Facebook group. The high school version can be found on our website, www.checkdesigns.com. We're going to pull out the abbreviations section to help us complete our dot book. My index card binder dot book has 2 key additions to it. The first one being a mechanical pencil. Superior to a wood pencil when we get on the field, because if you break your lead, you just pump it a few times, get some more lead out. Also, identification card in the front. You need to write down your name, your instrument, and your drill spot. Put it in a card, put it in the front of your dot book, so that way when we find it on the field, we know how to identify you, and you don't have to go searching for your second dot book. We're going to open up our binder clips, pull out some pages. We'll set that one off to the side. We're going to start by looking at our coordinate sheet. Coordinate sheet set 1, 0 counts, side 1, on 45-yard line, on the front hash. I'm going to take and divide my page in half. I'll explain why I do this in the next section. So at the top I write page 1, 0 counts because it's opening set, so I don't need to write an account structure or measure numbers. At the top I put in the side that I stand on, side 1. This is important because there are 2 45-yard lines, but there's only one side 1 45-yard line. Next I write down the yard line relationship. I am on the 45. After that, my hash relationship. I am on the front hash. Notice the abbreviation there, FH, for front hash. Page 1, completed. Flip it over. Right at the bottom of the page this time. You'll see why here in a second. I write page 2. Page 2, 16 counts, side 2, on the 45-yard line, on the front hash. So at the top here I write 16 counts, and that's going to be measures. In our show it's 4 counts per measure, so that's measures 1 through 4. Start on side 2, on the 45-yard line, on the front hash. I'm done with that one. I could take it, set it to the side. Split my page in half. Start with the page number, page 3. 16 counts. That puts me measures 5 through 8. Page 3, 16 counts, side 2, on the 35-yard line, 16 steps behind the front sideline. So I write down that I'm on side 2. I am on the 35-yard line. 16 steps behind front sideline. I come over here and check this. Behind front sideline, BFSL. So I write 16 BFSL. Leaves me extra room in case I need to draw any pictures or leave notes on there. Flip it over. Start at the bottom. Page 4. Page 4, 16 counts. That puts us measures 9 through 12. Page 4, 16 counts, side 2, on the 35-yard line, 4 steps behind front hash. So I put side 2, on the 35, 4 steps behind front hash. I come over and check my abbreviations. Behind front hash, BFH. 4BFH. I've got that section completed now. I can take and compile my cards together. Open up my dot book. Put my cards in. Close my dot book. Now, when I go to open up and read my pages, I've got page 1, page 2, and page 3 are both legible because of the way that I wrote the cards, because I started at the bottom. The bottom is now the top when I flip to read the even card numbers. Midsets give us cleaning checkpoints within the drill. To find a midset, we're going to remove our dot cards from our index card binder dot book. We're going to set them over here to the side. Key features to remember when you're going over your drill sheet. Side 1 is stage right of the sheet. It is the director's left. Side 2 is stage left of the sheet. It is the director's right. So if you think about it, it's kind of like reading a book. We have page 1 over here, page 2 over here, side 1, side 2. There are 32 steps from the front sideline to the front hash, and also 32 steps from the back sideline to the back hash. There are approximately 20 steps in between the hashes. Page 1, our dot reads, side 1 on the 45 on the front hash. We find that on our drill sheet over here. Side 1 on the 45, that's this yard line here, on the front hash. We can make a dot. Now we need to find page 2. Page 2 reads, side 2 on the 45 on the front hash. Find side 2, 45-yard line, front hash. We can draw a line that connects these two. It's going to help us out in our equation here in a couple of seconds. Page 2 is 16 counts transition. So the mid set to page 2 is going to be on count 8. Write down count 8. Now we just find this only has horizontal motion, no vertical motion. Pretty easy. We have 8 steps traveling to the 50, 8 steps traveling to the 45. That's 16 steps across in 16 counts. So if we split that in half, that's 8 steps across in 8 counts. So our dot will be on the 50, on the front hash. That one's done. We can set it in the binder. Page 3. Side 2 on the 35-yard line, 16 behind the front sideline. So we find side 2 is over here on the 35-yard line, 16 steps behind the front sideline. So we can count up 4, 8, 12, 16. We draw a line to connect them. So here we had horizontal motion and vertical motion. 16 counts means the midset will be on count 8. We're going to draw a vector, just like you would in math class. The vector, we're going to create a triangle by using 2 straight lines. We're going to draw one to the yard line relationship of the dot, and then one to the front to back relationship of the dot. So the vector will go as follows. We have 16 steps over, 16 steps down, and 16 counts. But the pathway, if we're using a straight line path, goes here. So we're going to divide that in half. 8 steps over, 8 steps down, gives us our midset right here on the 40-yard line. Count 8, we will be on the side 2 40-yard line, 8 steps in front of the front hash. So we're going to write that down. Side 2 on 40, 8 steps in front of front hash. FFH for the abbreviation there. Flipping it over, finding page 4. Page 4, 16 counts. Side 2 on the 35-yard line, 4 behind the front hash. So let's find side 2, 35-yard line, front hash. We're going to 4 behind the front hash. Let me erase my vector here. So 16 counts. Our subs is going to be on count 8. Let's count the steps back. We have 4, 8, 12, 16 to get to the hash. 4 more to get behind the hash puts us at 20 steps and 16 counts. Notice, a step is not a count. It's not corresponding to each step that we will make in the drill. It's corresponding to each step that is on the grid on the paper. The counts are the amount of times that you move your feet. So 20 steps and 16 counts. If we divide that in half, that's 10 steps and 8 counts, which puts our midset right here on the 35-yard line. Side 2, 6 steps in front of the front hash. So let's write that down. Side 2 on the 35, 6 steps in front of the front hash. So we're going to write F, F, H. That one's done. See what we're getting here? Moving on to page 5. Page 5, 16 counts. Side 2, 4 outside the 50 on the back hash. So we have side 2, 4 outside, 4 away from the 50, and on the back hash puts us here. So now we can draw our vector. Our straight line path goes across this way. Our vector is 20 steps over, 16 steps back. So now we're going to split that in half. We have 16 counts to get there. Our midset's going to be on count 8. 20 steps over, half of 20, puts us at 10. We're going to draw a line here. 16 steps back, half of that is 8. We're going to draw a line there. Now we can draw the line from 8 to 10, connect the dots. Here is your midset. That would be side 2 to inside the 40, 8 steps in front of the back hash. So let's write it down. side 2, 2 inside the 40, 8 steps in front of the back hash, FBH. Flipping over to page 6. 16 counts, side 1, 2 outside of the 45, 8 in front of the back hash. So let's find side 1, 2 steps outside of the 45, 8 in front of the back hash. We'll draw a straight line path, goes across this way. I'm going to erase our old vector. Our vertical motion is 8 steps down. Our horizontal motion is 14 steps across. If we're to split that in half, 16 counts. The subset is count 8. Splitting in half would be 4 steps down, 7 steps across. So let's count it. 4, 7. Puts our vector right here, which makes our midset 3, side 1 of the 50, 4 steps in front of the back hash. So we write down side 1, 3 outside of the 50, 4 in front of the back hash. That gives us page 6. Subset for page 6. Going to page 6, subset. We'll go ahead and file that one in. Page 7. Side 1 on the 35, 4 in front of the front hash, and 16 counts. So let's find side 1, 35, 4 in front of the front hash. We'll draw that dot in there. Straight line path to connect them. We have 4, 8, 12, 16 steps down, 4, 8, 12, 14 steps across. And that's in 16 counts. So our midset will be on count 8. On the halfway point, 16 steps down, halfway is 8. 14 steps across, halfway point is 7. So we'll draw a line to connect them. Which puts our dot right here at side 1, 1 step outside of the 40, 4 steps behind the front hash. So write it down, side 1, 1 outside of the 40, 4 steps behind front hash. Page 7 is done. Page 8. Side 1 on the 45, 4 behind the front hash. So we're going to have to erase some of this. Side 1 on the 45, 4 behind the front hash. Straight line path. 16 counts, half of 16 would be count 8. Let's see, we have 8 steps back, 16 steps across. The halfway point for 8 steps back will be 4. We'll draw a straight line across. The halfway point for 16 steps across will be 8. We'll draw a line down. Our vector then arrives at the side 140 on the 40 on the front hash. So we'll write that down. Side 1 on the 40 on the front hash. Page 8. Done. Page 9. Side 1 on the 45, 16 behind the front sideline. So we have side 1 on the 45, 16 behind the front sideline. 4, 8, 12, 16, halfway between the hash and the sideline. We have no horizontal motion, only vertical motion. We'll draw a straight line path to connect them. Half of 20 would be 10. So it's 4, 8, 10 puts us right here. Half of 16 puts us on count 8. Our midset would be side 1 on the 45, 6 steps in front of the front hash. So we have side 1 on the 45, 6 steps in front of front hash. Last one, page 10, side 1, 3 outside of the 50 on the front sideline. Side 1, 3 outside of the 50s to the left and on the front sideline. We'll draw a straight line path to connect them. See, we go down the 45-yard line and then over the sideline to get to that dot. We have 16 counts to get there. Our midset would be on count 8. We traveled down 6 steps, so that halfway point, we traveled down 16 steps, that halfway point will put us on 8. Then we travel over 5 steps, will put us 2.5 across. So let's find that midset. We'll come across at 8 behind the front sideline to 2.5. So our dot is side 1, 2.5 inside the 45, 8 behind the front sideline. So let's write it down. Side 1, 2.5 in 45, 8 B F S L behind front sideline. That wraps up this tutorial. You'll be able to find these sheets in the guide so you can trace them out. After a little while, you'll be able to see it. You won't even need to use this guide. You'll just be able to do your vectors, start solving these on your own.